Seize the moment. Hey, dominate on 3. 1, 2, 3. Dominate!
Two Bills chasing him. He'll fire for the end zone. It's caught. Byron Pringle. Touchdown!
Comes back to the left. He's at the 10. High stepping into the end zone.
They blocked the punch, and Talanoa Hufanga scored.
Cooper Kupp's all alone. Cuts inside. Touchdown! Matt Gay brings it home.
Robbie Gold.
It is good.
And the Bengals advance to the final 4.
Right side he wants on a comeback. It is caught by Kelsey. Touchdown! Kansas City!
Oh, yeah, welcome to the Around the NFL broadcast presented by Bose. I'm Dan Hansis, joined by Greg Rosenthal and Mark Sessler here on Stage 5 at NFL Network Studios. Guess what? Guess what?
What?
There were 32, and now there are 4. We have nearly reached the end of the yellow brick road.
I don't know if it makes me sad or excited. We won't even have a show next week. I wanted to do 60 minutes on the Pro Bowl. That's how much I love the Pro Bowl, but it's not going to happen.
I don't know. It seems like trenchant content to me. I think we should cycle back here and do maybe 2. We used to have a 2-hour show, on the Pro Bowl, if possible, Greg.
All right, your Pro Bowl snark is noted, but let's keep our eyes on the prize. 2 games on Sunday. We're going to go through both. We're going to share it from every angle on this program. We do go around the NFL after all, and you can check out our podcast 3 times a week, sometimes 4, depending if we're feeling frisky. And our Sunday night recap of these games we're about to preview will be available wherever you get your podcast. So make sure you check that out. All right, let's get into the games. Let's start with the AFC Championship game. Bengals, the upstart team, everybody's darling, heading to Kansas City to face the Chiefs, who have hosted the AFC Championship game for 4 consecutive years, which is pretty remarkable. However, Mark, the Chiefs don't feel like the biggest story here somehow because Cincinnati has a team and a young quarterback that people are just fascinated with right now.
Yeah, I mean, Kansas City, this is their comfort zone. They've been here over and over and over and over, and we've watched it, and we're used to seeing them here. This Bengals team is becoming one of the bigger stories around in all of sports, especially if they ever pull this off. And I mean, the Chiefs offense that we saw a week ago, I don't know. It just seems like they're peaking, and they seem, when they're in that mode, totally unstoppable. And I don't really trust Cincy's defense to do anything unless they can create total disruption. But if I'm the Bengals, it's like, this isn't an aberration. This isn't we're here this time and then we're going to go back to what we were. This is the beginning of a journey with Joe Burrow, and I would just put your foot on the pedal nonstop. Don't take your finger off the motherboard and keep dropping bombs on the Chiefs. Don't let them up. Don't let them up.
Yeah, there was a motherboard, there was fingers, there was all sorts of things going on. I think that first game against the Chiefs was instructive, the way they finished that game.
Week
going
17.
for it. Week 17, that is, going for it on 3rd down and then 4th down and kept going for it, wanted to keep the ball. They know they're going to have to be aggressive. They know they're going to have to score points. And they know the mismatches are what we've just been seeing in these videos on the outside with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. This play is perfect example. It's perfectly covered. Joe Burrow has a pass rusher coming at him. They have 2 defenders going at Jamar Chase, and yet all season long, players take the wrong angle against Jamar Chase. I've been trying to figure out what makes him so good, and I think it's these subtle movements. I think it's him seeing the field before it even happens, and even if you play them, I don't think that gets you immune to being able to cover Jamar Chase. He destroyed Tyrann Mathieu. So even if Honey Badger is playing in this game, Jamar Chase to me is such a difference maker because Joe Burrow's not getting too complicated here. He's going to throw it to Chase, and when he sees Higgins in single coverage, he's going to throw it to Higgins. And this Chiefs defense has been giving up 30 on the reg to good quarterbacks like Joe Burrow. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game.
Just like everyone else in the NFL, you give up 30 when you face a true great offense. You know, Jamar Chase, and by the way, Honey Badger had a concussion last week. He returned to practice, so we're feeling good about seeing him. We'll see how that matchup goes, a rematch there. Jamar Chase is one of those special dudes, guys, where I just think he has that ability, like you're saying, Greg, to kind of see things one step ahead. Once he makes a guy miss, he's gone. Other people, this is a 7-yard game, maybe a 10-yard game. He turns it into a 50-yard game. Now, Mark, I respect your football analysis.
Thank you.
Your acumen as a professional.
All right.
But I heartily disagree with the notion that we should get used to it because you are a Browns fan. And who were the Browns this time last year? They were the team, hey, guys, things are different now. Get used to it. Cleveland's here to stay. And that hasn't worked out, or maybe they had a blip in the radar. We'll find out in September. With the Bengals, I just feel like you have an opportunity now to get to the Super Bowl. Go win this game. Don't assume you're going to keep getting back here, because that's not how football works.
Well, that's sort of what I mean. Like, it's not just, hey, it's cute that the Bengals are in the AFC title game. I do think for them, the way you hear Joe Burrow talk about, forget this underdog mantra and role that you're trying to slap on us, we aren't going away. And I mean, that's what the Bills have been against the Chiefs. I think the Bengals see themselves that same way, and I would just say going with ultra confidence. This offense rolls in recent days when they basically said, look, at Joe Burrow, you're going to get hit. And this is a better matchup than that Titans game a week ago with Jeffrey Simmons creating total chaos. But there's still Chris Jones. There's still issues with the inside of your line. Joe Burrow can take these hits and still make these plays.
Mark.
To your point, because of chasing his yards after the catch and what they do. What?
It's all good. No, it's
All
good.
right.
I'm just saying, where are you? Are you in a jungle with a flat screen behind you?
We are in a
Where's
studio.
the plug-in?
Okay.
Yeah, they're in a studio. Greg and Dan are like, nestled up relatively close. I'm like 40 yards away in another part of the building. So, I appreciate that you can make.
You can tell we're a Bengals podcast at this point, because we haven't even given the Chiefs any flowers at this point. And Patrick Mahomes, coming off last week's game, feels a little unstoppable. I think the only way that you could possibly beat him is the way Josh Allen nearly did, which is put 30 on him, don't give him the ball too much. You're just going to have to win in a shootout.
Oh, look at that pass.
He's in the matrix right now. You can take away the deep pass if you want. He's going to figure you out. The thing that really stuck out to me was the way he made defenders miss in the pocket. It's like he sees things in slow motion, and it doesn't matter if you rush him. He's going to make his best plays when he holds the ball. And when he sees Kelsey open quickly, he's going to make those two plays too. So it's mind, it's his body, it's everything.
He's the quarterback version of Chase in a way, where he just processes things at a higher level and then has this elite athleticism. Like in the studio we're in right now, to my right is a wonderful producer named Parker, who's a Bills fan, and she admitted privately that she sobbed about her team last week. I don't know if she wants me to share that here, but it's too late
Probably
now.
not, but...
And listen, the Bills gave the Chiefs everything they could handle, and the ability to take all those punches from the Bills, and Josh Allen was landing Tyson versus Spinks haymakers in that game. And to be able to take that, get off the canvas, it makes me think, what can possibly stop them now? The good thing about sports, Mark, is that, like, yeah, you think that, and then something crazy could happen on Sunday. But in my heart, I feel like the Chiefs already passed their biggest test in a way.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I think if you're the Bengals, we need to see them closing drives. It's great that they were, having heroic field goal scenarios a week ago against the Titans, but they're going to need touchdowns, obviously. That's an obvious statement. But on top of it, you have Patrick Mahomes, like, when they show Superman, like, way up in space, just poised in the middle of darkness, staring down at the earth. That's Patrick Mahomes right now. I don't know how, if you get this version of him, he's running the ball well as well. He's just so dangerous.
Here's how.
How do you unplug him? I don't know how you do it.
Here's how. You get a couple turnovers. You're not going to get a ton of stops, but Sam Hubbard on the right side going up against Andrew Wiley, you get pressure that maybe Mahomes doesn't see, you force a fumble. You have one of the best deep safeties in the NFL, Jesse Bates, maybe coming for Honey Badger's crown. He's made a couple big plays. He makes an interception. That can happen. Guys make
denigrating
mistakes,
Honey Badger, by
and
the
then
way.
you get an extra possession or two. That's what the Chiefs did to the Bills. They got a couple extra possessions, and that's how they won. Maybe the Bengals can do it.
But he has like a 20-2 touchdown to pick ratio since week 7. So the interceptions aren't just coming in bundles like they did when we were concerned about this team.
It will be interesting to see how this all plays out. Did Superman do a lot of space stuff?
Yeah, no, he would like sit up in deep space and like just stop and stare down at the earth. Yeah, I mean,
Mark's our superhero.
I'm not saying it all the time.
He's here for
it was in his
corner.
It was in his wheelhouse. It was
mostly
in his toolbox.
Metropolis-based in a big spot. Maybe he'd fly around the earth.
Did that too.
But hang out in space. All right.
Versatile.
I trust you. All right, we're just getting started here on the broadcast. We turn our attention to the Niners and Rams, NFC West rivals. They hate each other, and now they get the other one gets to put the other in a body bag and celebrate on the way to the Super Bowl. Up next on the broadcast.
a tackle inside the 30. First down, 49ers.
Robbie Gould has it away, and it is gone! Golden leg of Robbie Gould going to an NFC championship game. Deep down the right side. He's got Kupp running down the hash marks. He reels it in at the 15. Cooper Kupp has the catch. Hits it with the right foot. Kick on its way. It is through. It is good. Los Angeles will host the NFC championship game. What did we just witness?
Oh, yeah, the Rams see you, and you only means Rams fans. I cannot stress this enough, what the Rams mean by that. NFC Championship game, SoFi Stadium. They're hoping to have a lot of Los Angeles-based fans there, but we'll see how it plays out. Welcome back to the Around the NFL broadcast presented by Bose. We talked a little about the AFC Championship, and we'll get back to that later, but now let's turn our attention to the NFC title game, 49ers at Rams. Glorious matchup here. Troy Aikman and Joe Buck on the call for Fox. Greg, this is a game that, listen, the people in the desert are steadfast. Hey, the Rams are the team here. The Rams are the team. And yet, history is instructive, as our great friend Chris Wessling was known to say. 6 straight times the Niners have taken care of business, including Week 18.
Yeah, and it's because of their defensive line. And their defensive line has played great in these 6 matchups, and they've played even greater in the playoffs. Nick Bosa is getting after it. Arik Armstead is getting after it. And they've won this matchup against the Rams offensive line time after time and made Matthew Stafford's life really tough. And he's overcome it sometime. In that Week 18 game, Matthew Stafford, I thought, balled out. And that's the kind of difference maker he can be compared to Jimmy Garoppolo. Some of those third downs at the end of the Rams-49ers game in Week 18 were sensational. Look at that. Under pressure, total hope,
money
going to Cooper Kupp. Later in that drive, the touchdown throw basically into double coverage. This is what Stafford can give you, that Cooper Kupp can give you, that Jimmy Garoppolo can't. Ndamukong Suh coming on a blitz, and he puts it up there perfectly. I just think that's a difference. When 2 defenses are playing this well and one quarterback is on a heater and the other's Jimmy Garoppolo playing some of the worst football in his career, I think that's a difference maker. I don't care about the history.
Well, it all makes sense because the weakest link, obviously, in this affair is Jimmy G and what happens if you get Jimmy G's bad side, the mistakes. But Matthew Stafford's thrown 4 picks in 2 games against the Niners. That pick 6 in the first matchup totally killed him. Everyone came out of that game saying the Rams are soft. Well, that game fell apart because of Stafford's mistakes. If you get this version of Matthew Stafford, the Rams are a Super Bowl team and they're fine. But the Niners are so freaky. People thought, oh, Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. Well, they got rid of them. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers in pretty little Lambeau Field, 2 degrees. See you later. It's like, no, the Niners just don't care about these narratives going into these games. And in that first matchup, they ran the ball so well. And Jimmy G and Deebo Samuel with yards after the catch, that script totally neutralized Los Angeles. If LA gets up big like they did last time and the Niners start climbing back into this, it becomes a mental game for me too, because this has a lot to do with Sean McVay, who I think is super steamed, super annoyed at this whole thing about Kyle Shanahan and the whole Niners owning them. If this gets tight, I don't like it in a stadium that could be 65% Niners fans based on vendors and what they're saying.
Yeah, it's true that the Niners have taken care of 2 teams back-to-back weeks. I think it was a bit of a minor miracle they got past the Packers. That special teams touchdown obviously was so massive for a team that managed 2 field goals. And a lot of this and doubt around the Niners keeps on circling around Jimmy Garoppolo, and they keep on navigating around it. But at a certain point, he's going to need to put together a real front-to-back strong game. And that's not beyond his abilities. I think he can do it. I think he could do it on Sunday. And one of the reasons I think he could do it is because of Deebo Samuel. I just want to go through what Deebo Samuel did in Week 18 against the Rams, okay? As a receiver, 8 for 45. Excuse me, as a rusher, 8 for 45 and a touchdown. As a receiver, 4 for 95, including a long of 43. As a passer, 1 for 1, 24 yards. Touchdown. Mark, that's a perfect passer rating. And that is the key. Is Garoppolo's imperfect, Greg. We know that. But in Deebo Samuel, in Brandon Ayuk had a huge game Week 18, by the way. In George Kittle, get the ball into the hands of these playmakers. Don't kill your team with stupid mistakes.
I mean, don't you feel like it's just we've seen the proof that this Rams team does not match up well against the Niners, and the Niners do things that make the Rams not their normal selves. And like Deebo Samuel's got his yards when they went together. Cooper Kupp got a ton of yards in both games. These stars are going to get it, but something about the Niners puts the Rams into a tough place mentally and physically.
These stars are going to get it. First of all, I like these stars are going to get it. Second, Dan said my name during the setup of that last one, so that's
usually pretty clear.
That's usually an indication.
Greg, that's typically your playbook to do that, so I apologize.
That's a fair point.
Good retort.
I've been known to cut people off, to jump in when I shouldn't. You mentioned like how Deebo runs through it. It sounds so basic, but tackling the 49ers is one of the hardest things to do. Like tackling Ayuk, tackling Kittle, that's going to be a huge part of this game. I think of the safeties for the Rams, to me, have been such a great story. Eric Weddle has come in out of retirement. Now he's playing 61 snaps, and they can't get him off the field. Taylor Rapp returns for this game. And Scott for the Rams has made huge plays. So their defense has been good, and I trust their defense. It's really about McVay making adjustments. When they fell down in that first game, he's not a guy who's known to really get off, plan A and go to plan B and be able to figure it out, whereas Kyle Shanahan has been. But this Rams defense, Dan, see what I did there, Mark? See,
no, that's good. That's
going to him.
Works.
I mean, it's funny to call this team soft that has Von Miller playing like it's 2015 and Aaron Donald.
That's what I was telling you guys a few weeks ago.
It was the least soft team I don't want to hear about. I think they're the best defense in the playoffs.
Yes, and what you're seeing now with Leonard Floyd, with Von Miller, who's playing, listen, he's never going to be Super Bowl 50 Von Miller again, but it's a pretty good facsimile right now with Aaron Donald doing his thing. That, to me, is going to be the key to the game, because if they wreak havoc, Garoppolo's going to throw it up for grabs. I mean, there's no way around it. He is going to give the Rams opportunities to win the game. The Packers, going back to my theory that was kind of a miracle win, had opportunities to steal that game just through Garoppolo's failures and did not take advantage of it. I don't think the Rams, with Jalen Ramsey in that back end, will let those opportunities slip away.
I don't know. We keep saying this is where the rainbow ends for the Niners over and over, and they keep telling you we don't care what everyone's saying.
We know where you're at.
We're not making our game prediction yet, Mark. You gotta keep it close to the vest to keep people invested.
I don't
in the
know how
program.
this whole thing works. I'm just sitting over here doing something.
This is Mark's first television show.
Yes.
All right, thank you for that conversation, boys. I am even more excited for the NFC title game, but we're just getting cooking here on the broadcast. Yes, there are things that we feel like we know, and there are things that mystify us. Coming up next, call up Robert Stack. It's time for some unresolved mysteries. Hunter?
Around the NFL is about solving unresolved mysteries. Wherever possible, the actual football players and league figures have participated in recreating the events. What you are about to see is definitely not a news broadcast.
Tonight's case features ordinary people thrust into a vortex of mystery, heartbreak, and intrigue. Each one looking for the vital clue to end a story that thus far has no end. Perhaps you can help. Join me, and maybe you too can solve a mystery. Yes, welcome back. Shout out Robert Stack. I said going into the break, call him up, not possible, but we remember him.
Right.
Yes, we think we know everything, but we don't. So let's dig into some unresolved mysteries of the NFC Championship game. I'll get us going. There's been a lot of heat around Odell Beckham Jr. I feel like he's getting a lot of positive buzz from people who, from the very beginning or through his struggles post-Giants, want to be right about Odell, that he is still very much the guy who is the shining, bright star of the Giants. And he has had moments in the playoffs and during his time with the Rams. But what about Week 18? What about the big game against the Niners where he completely no-showed, boys? And not only no-showed, he played a role in that loss. Now, they have a chance to go to the Super Bowl, and the Rams need Odell to show up. Which version of OBJ shows up at SoFi, Greg?
I think the version that's been making big plays over the last couple weeks shows up.
You would say that.
I think you're right that this is an X factor, a mystery in this game, because what do the 49ers do worse than anything else on defense? It's cover deep passes. You know what we haven't really seen out of Odell during this good run that he's been on? A big play down the field. Where's that Odell? Where's the 70-yard touchdown? Where's the huge run after the catch? He's got mismatches. They're going to be double teaming Kupp. Let's go, OBJ. Let's make Dan Hansis' Super Bowl week experience as miserable as possible.
Well, let's not get carried away.
This is talking Odell the whole time.
You're right. I mean, Stafford's deep passes to Odell have not worked. He's been really successful on short and intermediate routes to Odell, and I think, if anything, I have a little grace for Beckham, even though I'm a Browns fan who's a little annoyed with the whole thing, the way it went down. But I think it's underrated.
Oh, yeah, Big Mark's is miserable.
No,
I love that view behind you. It looks like you're coming from the heavens.
It's like
spicy,
Mark's wearing
spicy.
red Nike sneakers matching with an entire cult. I like it.
Here's what I think you do if you're Sean McVay. You get Odell Beckham a signature play out of the gate. That's what he needs to be coddled a little bit. He needs to be felt important, and he is a master at trick plays. I mean, they had him throw that ball that one time. He can do everything. So I would say I'm more trickier than you, Kyle Shanahan. I'm going to come up with something using OBJ that puts him on the right path out of the gate.
Wow. All right. Well, there you go. And just a fun fact here, Odell Beckham Jr.'s last 100-yard game, 1988. All right, Greg, you're up next.
My unresolved mystery, first of all, is that we're not going to get sued because we changed that name. We're clever.
Gotcha.
That's not a mystery. But the mystery is more about
Gotcha, Peacock.
Fred Warner. Can a guy named Fred become a superstar? Can an off-ball linebacker become a superstar? Fred Warner is the reason they keep shutting down these teams. Fred Warner is who this defense is built around. Fred Warner is playing at a level in the last handful of weeks that we haven't seen maybe since Navarro Bowman and Patrick Willis were leading this 49ers team.
Invoking those names.
He is the difference in this Shanahan-McVay matchup every week. He swallows them up whole, and he is playing right now at a level for an off-ball linebacker, to me, that is just outrageous. And if they win, I think it's going to be because of Fred Warner. Are we big enough as a football culture to make a guy named Fred?
See, here's my thing, Greg, a household name. It has to go to the level where, I mean, you're right about all these things. He is a key component. Does my mom walk around thinking about Fred Warner's performance? No. Has she heard of Patrick Mahomes? Yes. Household name, you've got to be getting.
But she's heard of Ray Lewis, hasn't she? Brian Urlacher?
I would imagine, but
so maybe this will be Fred Warner's Urlacher.
I mean, Fred used to be.
Okay.
It used to be huge. Fred Astaire, Fred Flintstone, Freddie Prinze Jr. We are overdue for a Fred. All right, one more unresolved mystery. Mark.
All right, well, I know we're talking with, a lower timbre, more gravity during this segment, so I'll attempt to mimic what the two previous guys did here. But I just want to ask, Matthew Stafford, a moment that made me kind of fall for him was when he spiked that ball before the winning field goal. And basically, they were like, what's going on in your eyes? What's happening to you? And he's like, you have to go to that dark place sometimes. Will this be another trip to Matthew's dark places, where suddenly you get this keyed-in Matthew Stafford who's like, I don't care about the pick sixes. Stop telling me about that, the interceptions. This Rams team, when Stafford is on, they are unbeatable. Do you get that version? Is he willing to go dark again, as we need to sometimes in life?
There are about 5 episodes of our podcast every season where Mark has that look.
Right,
And,
he kind of has it right now. Can we get the shot of Mark just like talking about Matt? No.
It's when Shanahan, when we were talking Niners, you had it. But
right.
when Mark gets that about 5 episodes a year, it's like tread carefully here because the man's a live wire. I like that. I like that side of Stafford, a guy who grew up in a comfortable suburb in Dallas and had everything in his life he ever wanted, and then goes to Detroit and has the hard knocks life of an NFL star on a historically bad franchise, and now here he is with a chance to rewrite his legacy in his 15th year, just about.
Didn't think we'd go like nice suburb shaming on this show.
I'm not shaming. I'm just saying he's led a
with
very
Clayton
sunny
Kershaw,
life.
We get it,
Dark place, very sunny life Matthew's led.
But like the example you gave with Mark going into that place, sometimes it leads to the best performance, the best show, the best game. Like, he blacked out late in that game, Matthew Stafford, and that's why they're still playing.
I believe it's Highland Park, Texas.
Yeah.
Beautiful place
correct.
to grow up. In fact, he
a lot
was
of parking there. Yeah, it's a lot of room.
He was the team's starting pitcher on the high school team, and his catcher was Clayton Kershaw of the Dodgers.
No, yeah, it's an unknown fact, but they are friends.
And also another Fred Durst, of course.
What?
So
I don't count Fred.
So Fred
Durst.
Warren, he does not have to become a household name because Fred Durst has this 25-year window covered.
Fred Rogers. We need
Fred Rogers.
Need another
That's
big
a household
Fred.
name.
Need another big Fred.
All right, coming up next, the Rams house. They're building a fan base here. Have they just stolen a fan from the reaches of New England? Welcome back to the Around the NFL broadcast presented by Bose. You know, we're very lucky to have a brilliant young producer in Erica Tamposi, a lifelong Patriots fan. And yet, with Tom Brady down in Tampa and her living this life in Los Angeles, she may be changing her stripes.
It was the morning after the Rams' divisional round victory, the crack of dawn, aka 10:30 a.m., and the streets were buzzing as Angelinos treated themselves to oat milk matchas and a single bite of a donut. Clearly on cloud 9, thanks to number 9. But there I sat at my favorite hole in the wall, head in the clouds, without a cloud in sight. I was a Patriots fan from head to toe, but I couldn't stop thinking about the Rams' incredible feat. Sure, Stafford had thrown 2 dimes to Kupp to set up the game-winning field goal, all in 42 seconds time. But why was my heart racing when my fandom was supposedly a one-way street? Was my aforementioned heart like the famous 101 freeway? Confused and split in too many directions? I couldn't help but wonder, was I now a Rams fan? I decided to wander off the beaten path and work out this pigskin predicament. In November, the Rams signed 2 studs in Mr. OBJ and 1 Von Miller, the man who just strip-sacked my former QB under the brightest of lights, and yet I watched with a twinkle in my eye. Perhaps it was simply LA's star-studded cast that was blinding my better judgment. Things had started to flame out with Mac Jones in the Pats offense, and as much as I love consistency, is it wrong for a girl to crave a little spark? A hot new stadium, a hot shot coach, even a red-hot punter. The Rams literally have it all. So why can't I? This was my city after all. I have lived here for half a decade, braving traffic on the 405, pushy street performers at the Walk of Fame, and upwards of 10 rainy days a year. Perhaps this New Englander has finally earned her day in the sun? And just like that, I was at home with my answer. The Patriots have a permanent residence in my heart, but the Rams... well, the Rams are, they're renting. No, that's dumb. They're also in there too. Ah, that's not it. I lost it. Whose house?
Sir, you can't be here.
Sir, it's great. It's Mark's worst nightmare. Us all becoming Rams fans.
Well, I mean, if the Rams are looking for people that are going to stick with you through thick and thin, you definitely want a Patriots fan that jumped ship 25 days after Tom Brady left. But Erica is an ultra talent, so I enjoyed it quite a bit.
I really enjoy that. Great work by Ricky Hollywood. And yeah, come on over to the dark side. I feel like half of the Patriots fans jumped off the ship after Tom left anyway. So, you're not alone. All right. Now, speaking of the Rams, we had the great Jordan Rodriguez on from The Athletic. She covers the Rams extremely well. We had her on the show, and now we want to share a part of our podcast with you. Check out a part of our conversation with Jordan from this week's show. Why don't we start this way with the Rams? Because I thought the way you put it in your write-up after that classic near meltdown turned amazing victory in Tampa, that there are some demons with this team, right? There, whether it's Stafford struggles in the past, even Matt Gay, the kicker, going to Tampa, and Sean McVay now has to slay another. There's a demon here, obviously, with the San Francisco 49ers and the other boy genius on the other sideline. Do you think the Rams have that mental capability to step on the throat of an opponent, get to the Super Bowl, and completely rewrite the narrative of a lot of people connected to this organization?
You get to see incremental change over time, and you get to sort of study that, right? And that's what I love about covering this team, is because they've had major catalytic changes, but then also all the little things that are happening between those spaces. And that's where I think they do allow some of these, what I call them, they allowed some of these demons to sort of peek through and sneak through it and almost catch them by surprise at times. 4 fumbles will certainly catch you by surprise in the middle of a game. But I think with this team, I worry less. The interesting thing, a personality with them that's developed, is I almost worry less about how things go for them when things are calm, when they have a lead, when they can exhale. And I worry more about, what they do in those moments. I worry less about what happens when their back's up against the wall. All through December, you saw them winning games when all of these external factors were affecting their team, a massive COVID-19 outbreak and, losing Robert Woods earlier in November. onboarding 2 new players, just all of the things, the moving parts that are swirling around this team. And then them navigating through that as well as they did, winning 5 in a row, and then ultimately finally a 17-point lead against, again, the 49ers, who they could have knocked out of postseason contention, and exhaling for the first time, going into the locker room at halftime, and then they come back out and everything hits the fan. So it's been so interesting kind of gauging the personality. It's almost like they work better when there's chaos happening all around them, and I don't know who that's reflective of. Matthew Stafford certainly is comfortable operating through that chaos. We nickname him on my podcast Darkly Chaotic Matthew Stafford, because he does seem to navigate that headspace rather well. But it's been interesting. This team, it's almost like they can never let themselves get comfortable in any way, because things start slipping through the cracks in that regard.
I love that you nicknamed him Darkly Chaotic, because that's exactly what I bookmarked in your article from this week when you described his tendency to dip too far into darkly chaotic decision making, and also the fact that he embraced that chaos and kind of found clarity at the end of that game. But can you explain just like a little bit more about the dark place that his teammates kind of described him going into after that spike? Yeah, it was kind of, they saw him maybe leave this plane and enter another one. I think, it was very interesting. That's part of the reason why I love this team, right? Because I love covering this team, because they are so fascinating in the little things that they let slip. And that was a personality slip in him that we hadn't really seen. You see the competitor, you see the guy who wants the ball in his hands at the end of the game, regardless of whether or not they have a lead. He wants to stay on the field. He wants to be participating. And certainly when things aren't going their way, he wants to be the guy that helps sort of settle the calm, even if he is part of the reason why that chaos has happened in the first place.
In terms of the team's psychology, the potential weight of that, we're weeks removed from them melting down against the Niners, which obviously changed the complexion of the NFC playoffs drastically. Is there a weight? Is this a new opportunity where they're able to take all that and put it on a boat and just float it out into the ocean? Or is it something that they think about, that Sean McVay thinks about, dealing with Kyle Shanahan, who's just owned them? It's such an outlier for the Rams. Like, where are they neck up?
I think they wanted it. You hear guys talk about wanting it this way, and you lose to a team six times. I think that says something about you as a group, as a person, for wanting this to be the case. And I think it's because this would be the ultimate way to sort of to shake these guys in the end, to really sort of prove that they belong, to really set those roots back into the ground after getting here and having such early success early on after their move back to Los Angeles, and to really build around that. That's substance. The Rams have a lot of style, and they get style points left, right, and sideways all through the year for the moves they make and for the things that they can do, and then the passing concepts they have, and some of the star defensive players. But beating a team that you have, for lack of all other irony and storylines that were possible, this is the most ironic storyline that they could have faced. And this is also the one that I think, if they get past this, provides them with the most substance, shows the most resilience and the most substance that they have so worked toward proving, sort of despite a lot of external conversation about, what they're not.
Thank you to Jordan, and check out that entire conversation on the Around the NFL podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. Coming up next, we're going to do an update of what's going on around the league, starting with the retirement of a major figure in the NFL.
Nice catch there.
Welcome back to the broadcast presented by Bose. All right, boys, let's take a spin around our league. Copyright Troy Aikman. Let's hit the news. Could be Troy's last game with Joe, so enjoy it. If you like that pairing, keep an eye on that. Let's get into it, starting with Ben Roethlisberger, who announces his retirement after 18 seasons. The former number 11 overall pick became the most decorated passer, yardage-wise, all those other stats in Steelers history. Terry Bradshaw's got him in the Super Bowl category, Greg, but everything else is Big Ben, who's really had a great career there.
Yeah, he had a better career than Terry Bradshaw. Let's not compare him to Eli Manning. Let's compare him to Hall of Famers like he's going to be. I thought his best play...
Eli Manning is going to be a Hall of Famer.
No, well, let's not get into that. His best play was 2013 to 2018, I thought, actually, when he wasn't winning Super Bowls necessarily, but he was a top 3 to 5 quarterback almost every year. Even if he never won a title, I think he was a Hall of Famer.
I mean, I'm a Browns fan, and I can count on one hand how many times they took out a Steelers team led by Big Ben. It was always when there was a backup in there. He has been present from the beginning. I mean, there's such a consistent organization. I think the last couple of years takes some of the shine off of Big Ben because he stayed around too long, but this is a dyed-in-the-wool Hall of Famer, first time around.
And if you put one of those guys from that class in the Hall of Famer and not the other, not to mention Phillip Rivers, you're just a smarty-pants football guy who's trying too hard to show that he's smart and really watches the game.
Let's just save this
for
5 years from now. Let's be one of those smarty-pants guys that cares if a quarterback was ever a top 10 quarterback.
I mean, Greg also told us before the show that he does not pick out his own clothes. His wife dresses him, so the smarty-pants she picked out for him.
And he's a Patriots fan. But let's stop. Let's move on. Speaking of the Patriots, Tom Brady. Does anybody know that Tom Brady has a podcast? It's called the Let's Go Podcast. And he said it's in his mind, Mark, that whether he returns for another season kind of goes back to not just him, but a conversation with his family. You buying that this could be the end?
I buy it because, I think you don't have to say all this. And he's been saying it, I think, with, humility, with, real feelings. And it's all right, he's in this place where he's pondering the future. I worry about any coach/athlete that does the I'm leaving for family and kids, though, because something in Tom Brady is going to be burning bright come September if he walks away. He's still an MVP-level quarterback. You don't walk away right now.
Yeah, he said that sometimes it's not what I want, though. It's about what my family wants. And he's done what he's wanted. Because if he did what Giselle wanted, he probably would have retired 4 or 5 years ago. I really think he is going to retire. Dan and I put a sandwich on it. I hate that because now it puts me on the side of profiting off my favorite player of all time retiring, which I'm not really enjoying. But I kind of like the idea that he would go out on top in the sense that he's still one of the very best quarterbacks in the league. That's
the idea for you, Greg.
Out.
Don't gamble. How about that? That would
that's not.
It's not a gamble. It's a proposition. The good way to look at that, Greg, is that you're not going to win the sandwich, and you get to watch him next year.
Okay.
We'll see.
I'll take that.
All right. Let's move to the coaching carousel in the NFL. We do have some jobs that have been filled. Let's start with the Denver Broncos, who have announced that Nathaniel Hackett is the new head coach, the OC of the Green Bay Packers. Mark, tell me what you think about this move. Hackett is very respected, both with the Packers and around the league. But at the same time, does this feel like Denver, part of some type of big picture ploy to lure Aaron Rodgers?
I think you have to think about that first because, look, he wants to become a head coach, and so you're going to take whatever job was offered. I get that. But you've got a quarterback question right here that got the last coach fired because they didn't find one. You've got shifting ownership. There's some red flags there to take this job. But if all of this was to get Aaron Rodgers, or there's some sense that you can make that happen, life changes in the AFC West real quick.
He could wind up being a great coach, but I do wonder if the Broncos have some regrets from not hiring another famous son from the West Coast offense. Kyle Shanahan, they've taken a beating over that over the last 2 decades, taking over from Mike. And now they hire Nathaniel Hackett, the son of Paul Hackett, who was Bill Walsh's right-hand man. It almost feels like dime store Kyle Shanahan.
Just let's play along. Imagine Aaron Rodgers does go to Denver, and then the AFC West has Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, and Justin Herbert.
Right? Is that how you want to try to get to the Super Bowl? That seems difficult.
That sounds awesome.
Well, sounds great for us.
And then Derek Carr's like, there's me too, fellas. Finally, I like Derek Carr. Matt Eberflus is the new head coach of the Bears. He was the defensive coordinator of the Colts, Greg. So he needs to find a competent play caller to pair with Justin Fields. That's job number 1.
Yeah, some rumors of that he might go for the Eagles passing game coordinator. We don't know a lot about Eberflus, but he had a good defense in Indianapolis. I don't think he provided like some great schematic advantage. I just am still stuck on Dan saying, "Oh, I like Derek Carr." It was almost as if he like saw David Carr walking into the room and was just, you know, like, I work for the NFL Network. I have to say.
Oh, great.
I mean, I do like Derek Carr, but yeah, 3 studs. And Derek, who's very good. All right. Good news seg, guys. David Carr is right behind me right now, isn't he? All right.
Great hair, great teeth.
He's got it all. All right, listen up. We got some game picks coming up. You're not going to want to leave now. Oh, it's David Carr! Ah! All right. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, please.
The red Nike's just out of shot, as is the Kool-Aid, but there is Mark, who is one day going to lead a cult. I am certain of it.
Thank you, Blair Kerrigan, Blair W. Kerrigan, for your contribution.
Either lead a cult or join a cult. I'm not sure, but one of the two.
Well, you can debate that amongst yourselves.
You have more fun when you join a cult. You make more money when you lead one. That's what Creed once said on The Office. All right, listen up. Presented by Bose. Let's get to our game picks, starting with the AFC title game. It's going to be a banger. I really love this magic carpet ride that the Bengals are on, but I can't get past the fact that the 2 best teams are the Chiefs and the Bills, and the Chiefs already beat the Bills. The Chiefs will win this game 38-28.
Oh, you love them, but you picked against them 3 straight weeks, not even having them cover. I like them to cover. I like this thing to be in the 30s, to come down to the last possession, and the Bengals win this game. There is something about this team. You want to crown the Chiefs after the last week? Crown them.
Yep.
But this Bengals team, there's something special.
Something strange is going to happen, something bizarre. I am totally on your party line, Greg. I have 35-32 Bengals in overtime. Who's kicking that winning field goal? You know who it is, the money kicker, the best money kicker in the league.
I love Evan McFearless, but you guys are disrespecting Patrick Mahomes, and I'm not here for it.
I'm picking what I'm rooting for.
Let's move on to the NFC title game. This one's even tougher for me because I like so much about the Rams, but I can't get over some of these collapses, these late game fades. By the way, how's Cam Akers going to be used in this game? Anyway, when it comes down to it, San Francisco will find the way one more time, and we will be talking about how well Garoppolo played. Stunner, 27-24.
I have the Rams winning this game 24-20. I think Sean McVay knows why they didn't hold on to that lead late against the 49ers. I think he knows he has the better quarterback. That's why he gave up all those picks for him. I think he stays aggressive and he gets it done. They can come from behind. They can play with the lead. Either way, the Rams win.
I think this is the juiciest matchup in so long. I'm so excited about this whole thing. I have been a Niners guy for a long time. Kyle Shanahan is my dude. I think the Rams are going to show up in this thing. It's just not going to be a blame fest. 27-24, a classic. The Niners complete this magical journey, a very strange road they've been on to get to the Super Bowl.
Same score. That's cute, guys.
That is cute. It's adorable. That is Listen Up, presented by Bose. And everybody,
what are we doing here? You know, it's like my first TV show ever, and you're going down this road?
That is wonderful. Blair W. Cargan for the win. All right, everybody, make sure you enjoy all the football and savor it because we got 2 on Sunday. We got another one Super Bowl Sunday, and then it's dark.
Oh, my kids are super excited about the Pro Bowl. I'm not just trying to be a company man here.
I think we've hit the Pro Bowl pretty hard in the show, strangely. But anyway, everybody enjoy it, and check us out next week on the broadcast, and listen to the Around the NFL podcast. I got nothing else.